Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Cade and Eric Show podcast. Episode 50 on the march to infinity and beyond. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for all those that listen. And welcome to any new listeners. I'd like to welcome Hong Kong to the show. They're the latest country to come in and listen. So thank you very much. It's great. You can check out my other things on my other social medias on Facebook, X, TikTok, which is really kind of pissing me off. Again, maybe because they want freedom of speech. They wanted everybody to go contact their representative about the bill that was getting through Congress at the time to make sure that they had freedom of speech, so you can they can sit there in the United States and have the app here in the United States. But then when it comes to their own users on the app, it's not the same thing for them. I've had more videos banned with no real explanation. There wasn't just anyway. You have to go on there and check that out. Also, YouTube and then Truth Social, Cade and Eric Show on all of those. So welcome to the show. There is a lot to get to. First, I'd like to do highlight one thing that I kind of completely forgot. I was sick last week, so I will chalk it up to sickness and the fact that I didn't just kind of forgot stuff. But O.J. Simpson died the day I did my podcast last week, and I'm like, I gotta talk about that. And I failed to do so. So yes, O.J. Simpson has passed away, and there have been a lot of very not so nice things said about him here recently, with everything, which is, kind of expected, seeing how he pretty much got away with murder there, just because of who he was, and everything like that. So yeah, he passed away. In other sports news, the Masters completed on Sunday, and it was a great. I'm a big golf fan, so if I get the wordage wrong, it was a great I think it's a match. It was a great game, whatever. It was really close until Sunday. It was really close on Sunday. The first 9, there was a whole bunch of people that were a whole bunch of the guys that were within like a stroke or 2 of each other. A lot of them were 6 under par. A couple got to 7. And then there's just the back 9. Scotty took over. Scotty Scheffel won. He lives here in Dallas, and he went to UT. So hook 'em horns. He's won the second Masters in a matter of 3 years. And so he just kind of took off, and guys made mistakes. Colin Morikawa, he was close. He was right there with him. He was playing the same. They were pairs, and they were playing the same holes together. Afterwards, when Colin was done, he said he just got cocky. He double bogeyed a couple times, which just kind of put him under. And then finally, Scotty just pulled it off, and I think he won by 4 strokes, something like that, negative, or 11 under par, something like that. So congratulations to Scotty. Awesome job. So it was fun. It was fun to sit there and watch it. Me and my wife sat there and watched it on Sunday after church, and man, what a beautiful course. I actually had some friends go there, and I talked to them afterwards, and they said it was just amazing. It was like going to a completely different time. It was like a completely different world. The course was beautiful. Tiger Woods did not look so good Sunday, which is not really surprising, seeing he's almost 48 with all the surgeries and the injuries that he's had. He wasn't looking so good none of them really are sweaty, looking at the end of the game, at the end of the game. But he was sweating pretty good there. He did not look so good. I think he finished 14 over. So I don't know. He might not make it to next year. So we'll have to see. But so my friends were saying it's about 8 miles. It takes to walk all 18 holes, and they do this at least 5 times. Because there's practice rounds that they go through and they do it, and then the 4 times on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They walk 8 miles every day. Just incredible. But so congratulations to Scotty. Great job. It was fun to watch. Baseball, the Astros are not having a great start. We do not have our high powered aces at the moment. Verlander is expected to start tomorrow. He has been out for these first, I don't know, 20 games or whatever it's been. Yeah, 18 games. They're 6-12, so not so good. They got swept again by the Braves these last few days. Yeah, it was very frustrating, and I've been talking to some of my friends who are fans of other teams, Rangers. I do live here in the DFW area, so obviously there's a lot of Rangers fans, and I'm like, is this what normal baseball fans feel like about their teams during the year? That this is very frustrating because as an Astros fan, we've enjoyed quite a lot of success here the last 8 years, and it's been very wonderful to go very deep into the playoffs, win the World Series twice. We've been to the World Series 4 times in the last 7 years. Been to the ALCS every single year for the last 7 years. Won the division in every regular season. I mean, the COVID year doesn't count. Congratulations to the Dodgers. You won a partial World Series trophy. And it didn't matter, I don't really like the Dodgers either so much. I mean, that's kind of gotten a little better. I still don't really like them because of everything that happened in 2017. And they're all sitting there whining and crying that the Astros stole the World Series ring from them. Blah blah blah. Everybody was doing it back then, so just get over yourself. But yeah, so it's very frustrating right now. I'm sure the players are way more frustrated, but it is only April baseball, so maybe if this was happening here in August and we're still struggling, well, then we'll kind of deal with that later. So hopefully everything turns around. We get Verlander back tomorrow. Hopefully Framber Valdez comes back, and we get some other key pitchers, and we can turn the season around. But yeah, so fun stuff happening this week. This week has been fun. The Trump Stormy Daniels trial is going on right now. They're trying to pick the jurors. We had, let's see what else. Biden's going off talking about his uncle or getting eaten by cannibals in New Guinea, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that didn't make any sense of what he said. And then on a more serious note, Iran launched 350 drones, rockets, missiles at Israel on Saturday. So luckily there weren't, I think 7 of them got through. They shot them down. We shot them down. I think the United Kingdom shot them down. And so it was, thankfully, I think there was just minimal injuries. I don't think anybody died from it, which is great. But yeah, so we'll get into the whole, because Joe Biden, he's super strong. He is super powerful on this whole thing, and he gave him a one-word thing not to do, and I'll get to that here too. But yeah, so we'll get into all this stuff here. But I would like to start off here by and then also over the weekend. This isn't just some like side note thing here, but a bishop, Mari Emanuel. He's on social media. I found him on TikTok, I believe. He's a really good Christian pastor. I guess you could call bishop, obviously. But he was stabbed multiple times in Sydney by suspected Islamic extremists who reportedly shouted Allah Akbar when he was tackled to the ground. And there's a picture of him. I think I've posted this on my social medias here, but where he's just the guy's just smiling as he's on the ground after stabbing this guy, this bishop, who has just this bishop has been great. If you haven't listened to him, please go look him up. Mari Emanuel, Bishop Emanuel. But from what I understand, he is doing okay. The bishop is doing okay. I don't think it was anything serious, but it's Christianity is under attack from every point of view, everywhere. America is under attack in any sense, in any way that you could possibly think of. Um, Freedom and our republic is under attack everywhere. But, and the economy's great. Gas prices have jumped high once again. So let's just kind of see. KGP was asked about gas prices, and here was her response.
They've been going up over the last month, 20 cents a gallon. Is the president considering any new actions, like releasing more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
So I don't have any new actions to read out. I will say
she never has anything.
Gas prices remain well below their peak back in 2022. I think that's important. And the average gas price right now is cheaper than this time last year, and that's
so. I just want to pause this real quick, and then we've got about. Well, let's just finish, and then I'll talk.
Because of what this president has been doing over the last 3 years, including the SPR.
Who was in charge in 2022 when gas prices were at its peak and at the highest they've ever been in the history of our nation? Who was president during that time period? It was not Donald Trump, unfortunately. No, it was not Donald Trump, and we would not have had the high gas prices that we did back then. It was Joe Biden who was in charge in 2022, 2023. And right now, well, you could make the point that he isn't in charge and there's somebody else running the show. But it just pisses me off. It's just like, all right, he was in charge over the highest it's ever been. And they think it's a win that it's come down from that? No. We should be paying half of that right now. We have enough oil in this country to beat out the Middle East. That's the reason why we got Alaska from the Russians in the first place, was because of the natural resources that are up there. There's plenty of oil, natural gas, all of that stuff that is up there in Alaska that they won't touch. Day one, he shut down the Keystone Pipeline, which would have given us tons of oil. But no, he decided to shut it down. And then this administration has gone around and fought against the gas companies and the oil companies as they've tried to find new ways, and they've made it impossible. The administration has made it impossible pretty much for these companies to do their job. So it's hopefully gas prices aren't as high where you are, but from where we are, they're well over $3 a gallon, and it's just outrageous that it's up that high in the first place. It should not be that high at all. But Bidenomics in action here. Electricity is almost 30% more expensive than it was in 2020. Gasoline is almost 50% more expensive because it was here in Dallas in the DFW area. I think we were I want to say $1.50, $1.80, something like that. So and I just paid $3.50 a gallon the other day, and got like 6 gallons for it. Natural gas is almost 27% more expensive. Eggs, I don't understand this one. Eggs are 50% more expensive now than they were in 20. What is the deal with the eggs thing? Milk is almost 15% more expensive. Chicken is almost 24% more expensive. Used cars, I remember my parents, they were trying to help one of my siblings find a car a couple years ago, and it was just about impossible to find one because there weren't any. There was a huge shortage of the chips, these computer chips that are in the cars. We had a bunch of hail, and here in the DF, surprise, there's hail here in Dallas, and the insurance company said it totaled one of our cars, which it was just cosmetic damage. There was the dents that looked like a bunch of hail hit the car, and they totaled it out, and we got, it was nice. We actually got some money from it that, help pay it off and everything like that, and we got a new car, so which was great. But they were so in short of demand of these computer chips in these cars that they were taking any of them they could get. Airfare is almost up 33% more expensive than in 2020, and transport is now up almost 33% more than in 2020. So it's great. America is great under Joe Biden right now. It's fantastic under him. It's just so incredible. So incredible just how delusional and how out of touch this whole administration is. So this is kind of what they had to say about what's going on and what happened in Israel over the weekend. Here's John Kirby. He's asked by, I believe it is Peter Doocy, on Joe Biden and what he said. Oops, it helped if I didn't mute it when I'm trying to play. So let me start it over.
Now that we know that the Iranians do not listen to President Biden's public warnings, is there any regret here about unfreezing billions of dollars for Iranian leaders during the president's administration?
What unfreezing are you talking about?
He unfroze billions of dollars
For Iranian leaders?
Yeah.
Really? I don't think so.
Okay,
So
you
first
gotta
of all,
say it's for humanitarian purposes, but doesn't that?
but you don't believe me.
Well, doesn't that free up?
No, nobody believes this administration.
An unprecedented number of munitions to fire Israel.
So first of all, I'm betting they're sitting in Tehran. They're taking it seriously when President Biden says he's going to defend Israel. He put skin in the game, a whole heck of a lot of it, and knocked almost everything out of the sky. So I'm betting they're taking it pretty seriously. And as for this unfreezing, none of that none of those funds set up in an account, by the way, by the previous administration.
Oh my
Goes
gosh.
directly to the Supreme Leader. The IRGC can only be used for humanitarian purposes, and we're watching that account very, very closely to make sure that that's what happens.
They're watching it really, really closely. Yep. They're watching that account very close. Just to kind of let you know, and none of them take any responsibility for a single thing that they've done wrong. Not one of them. But let's just kind of go over the numbers here real quick on, how much money that they released and made available to this terrorist state here. So this is a tweet or an X, whatever, from Charlie Kirk. He goes over all the numbers here and says John Kirby denies that Joe Biden has unfrozen Iranian funds. Let's go over the timeline and the facts, shall we? Let's do that. So $10 billion was released November 2023. Biden regime reapproved a sanction waiver that unlocked upwards of $10 billion in frozen funds of Iraqi payments for Iranian energy. $6 billion in September of last year. As a part of the prisoner swap, Blinken ensured Iranian funds were moved into a strict fund for humanitarian trade. There we go. July of last year, $10 billion. So if you're doing the math, that's $26 billion so far. Antony Blinken signed a national security waiver allowing Iraq to deposit payments for Iranian energy into non-Iraq banks in third countries instead of into restricted accounts. So we're up to 26 billion so far, right? Another 3.42 billion. So that's 29 billion, almost 30. In August of 2021, the IMF sent the 3.42 billion to Iran in special drawing rights. The Biden administration had the authority to stop the transfer and chose not to do it. 80 plus billion since 2021. Iran's oil exports have surged, breaking records because the Biden administration has eased enforcements on sanctions, allowing an explosion in illicit purchases, mostly by China. Okay, so that's a little over $100 billion. $3.8 billion since 2021. Iran turned to the safe uh, turned to the sale of petrochemicals to avoid a Trump-era sanction. Sales have surged thanks to Biden. 1.6 billion since 2021. The Trump administration imposed sanctions on Iranian steel industry, which the Biden administration hasn't enforced. Shocker. The Biden administration said its commitment to Israel is ironclad, but apparently so it's its commitment to funding Iranian terrorism. So, what is that? How much is that there? Just unbelievable. Unreal. How much? Well over $100 billion. Just given to a terrorist state to commit terrorist acts. And Israel is the one that suffers for it. But his words, Biden's powerful word to them, this is what he says. And this is also what he said to Putin, too. So just take a listen to this.
If he is considering using chemical or tactical nuclear weapons, don't. And I wonder, what is your message to Hezbollah and its backer, right, Iran? Don't. Okay, they're doing it. Last one.
So, don't.
Our American personality.
It's always nice when the reporters start yelling all at once and you can't understand what the crap they're talking about. So don't. He told that to Putin, and Putin did. He told that to Iran, and Iran did. So here's another clip here of the same Peter Doocy with John Kirby there at the White House.
Maybe beefing up the public Iran posture to be more than just one word.
You're referring to don't.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about,
And they did it anyway.
and let's talk
So
about
now
what we did, Peter. Let's talk about don't and did. Let's talk about Saturday night. He made it clear that he didn't want to see escalation in the region. And let me finish. He added military resources to the region right after October 7th. And then when we had an inkling that this kind of thing was coming, he added even more military resources to the region. More destroyers that were capable of shooting down ballistic missiles, a fighter squadron that was able to shoot down drones. And that's what we did. So you can talk about the don't word all you want, but let's talk about what did happen. What did happen was Iran utterly failed. And if I'm sitting in Tehran right now, I'm betting that President Biden takes it pretty seriously when he says don't escalate. He's going to act to make sure that you can. And they didn't. Yes, they fired an unprecedented amount of munitions, but how much success did they have, Peter? Zero. Very little infrastructure. It was an embarrassing failure for the Supreme Leader for the IRGC.
I just can't. These people are the absolute worst. Did the Israelis think that that was a success? Because that's what he's, chalking this up to. He's claiming that it was a success. The don't was a success. I guess because nobody died. They still launched 350 drones, missiles, and rockets at Israel, but Biden said don't. And nobody died, so apparently that's the success. Even though this is, like he said, an unprecedented number of munitions were launched. But yeah, I'm sure in Tehran, I am so sure that they are quaking in their boots. Well, I don't think they wear boots, but whatever footwear, their sandals, their flip-flops, they're quaking in their flip-flops over there in Tehran because Biden says, oh, he said don't. And they did it anyway. Oh my gosh. You know, if you can't laugh about all this, you have to laugh because otherwise you go absolutely freaking insane. Because this is just absolutely ridiculous as to what is going on here. And then, of course, you know, this administration has told Israel don't retaliate, even though 350 pieces of ordnance were launched at your faces. Don't retaliate back and make the situation worse. Because the reason Iran did this in the first place, right? The reason that they did this is because Israel bombed, they say, and it's interesting because I've also read that what the Iranian government is telling their people that it was a success. They're telling their people, they're showing images of the fires that happened here a month ago in West Texas. They're showing footages of that and saying, look at what we did. They're showing footages of destruction that wasn't Israel. So, you know, I sat there and I thought about that and I'm like, yeah, I mean, obviously, you can't trust them at all. You can't trust our government. Well, at least this administration anyway. There's very, very few people, members of Congress, that I would trust. I mean, so you look at things around the world and you think, who the crap do you trust? You know? What body of government do you trust? And I would say none. Because they all lie. Every single one of them. Canada, Justin Trudeau is cracking down and taking away people's rights. Well, I don't know. They don't have the Bill of Rights up there. So, you know, but it is a God-given right to defend yourself, and the right to bear arms is a God-given right. So effectively, he is taking those rights away from those people, taking away their guns. You know, Australia did that as well. I think New Zealand has done that. It is a full-scale attack on Western countries, the Western way of life. So who do you trust? Me? Yeah, you trust me, please. Trust me. Do your own research. That's what I'm doing. And I'm doing this show because I can't take it anymore. I have to let this out. And I have to tell people what is going on, who these people really are, that they're lying sacks of dog crap. I think everybody kind of sees that here with Joe Biden. But if anybody, you know, as I look through, as I've done this podcast and I look at the different countries that are around, it was awesome to see Hong Kong come on board. You know, there's been Taiwan over there in that region, a few places in Europe. But the more the truth gets, I mean, everything will be exposed. Their lies, the corruption, it'll all come out. I mean, it's coming out. The Biden crime, corruption crap it's all coming out. You know, it's just a matter of, and people are like, well, is anything going to happen to this? Hopefully something comes of this, because the wrongs will be made right, you know. So then who do you trust? Governments? Probably not. You know, that's the thing that the founders set up, that it is we the people that are in charge, and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution restricts the government. It doesn't restrict us. It restricts them on what they can do and what they can't do. So I would say trust them, but they probably wouldn't say that either. Trust in God. Trust in Him. Trust in Him that He is in charge. Because as I look, I mean, you look around the world and you think of all this evil, all of this destruction and death that is happening. But to the opposite side of all this evil that is going on, there's also that much more good that is happening. I mean, you look down and you see the different South American, Central American countries, and they are turning to conservatives. They are turning to a more conservative way. You have places like New York City that are screaming and yelling about, in positive ways, about Donald Trump. When he went to the because he's stuck doing this stupid, ridiculous trial. First time in history that a former president has been criminally charged in something like this. I'll get to that here in a little bit. But people are out there chanting USA. There's a group of people that were when Trump was up there. They started singing his national anthem, started singing the Star Spangled Banner, because people see what is going on and they're tired of it. They're tired of all the lies. I think that's why Trump gets so popular, and that's why people love him so much, is because they look at him and they see all the corruption and the lies, and the fact that this whole thing is just political when Democrats and others have done this and nothing has happened. I mean, this hush money thing, how many times has how many times has celebrities paid hush money, how many times has politicians paid hush money, and nothing happens and nobody cares. But because it's Donald Trump and he's trying to stand up, I think, for truth. I don't think he's perfect. I think, with in other news, there was the Arizona came out with I think it's pretty much a total ban on abortions, and he was kind of upset about that. He said himself that it should be the states that should decide. Individual states decide, but I don't. Life is life, right? That's a whole other topic, but that is the one thing that his COVID thing, trusting so much in Anthony Fauci, the scumbag little weasel that he is. There's a couple things there that I don't 100%. I'm not on the Trump train on those two things. Absolutely not. But the other things that he says, I really, really like what Donald Trump says, because I think right now we kind of need somebody to sit there and be very blunt and say it how it is, because the message really isn't getting through and people are too much asleep because they're like, oh, I don't want to get into politics. I don't do politics. I mean, the time has come for people to stand up and to stand up against truth, to stand up for truth and right, and stand against evil and tyranny and corruption and lies. We enough on the fence. It's time to pick a side. So you've got Don't out there, Mr. Don't. It's this guy and he wanders around the stage and nobody knows what he's doing. But let's play this little thing. This is from I forget which show on Fox this is. I can't remember what this guy's name is. But he also has Roseanne Barr on here, and what she says is absolutely hilarious. But this is Professor's Claim pointing out how Hamas brutalizes the LGBT alphabet soup people. But here, just listen. This is great.
Professor recently claimed that pointing out Hamas's atrocious record on gay rights is in and of itself homophobic violence.
So I've been at protests where I'm then told, don't you know what Hamas would do to you if you were in Palestine? And we have to start naming this actually as homophobic.
This is why people are leaving the left. And this is also why people feel like they're going insane. Because you can't just make an observation about a thing anymore without being labeled a bunch of names.
Yeah.
Just for being an honest person now, people will say, you shouldn't work anymore, and you should. It's absolutely flustering. You're like, that's a guy in a dress. They go, what did you say?
Yeah.
It's this guy. You're like, I'm pretty sure it's a biological guy. I don't know what to say. And you'll go, that's a prostitute. And like, OnlyFans girl. And you're like, all right,
Women have lost their damn mind, and especially fat lesbians like her. I mean, for real. Really fat, bitter lesbians. My sister is a big fat lesbian.
I saw that when I first saw that. I think I fell on the floor. But yeah. So telling the truth that of what's going to happen to them that they if they support that's homophobic now. Oh, okay. So pointing out the fact that these people will be murdered if they go over there with their little rainbow flag is now homophobic. And Roseanne, love it. I didn't like the show. You know, growing up, I didn't like the Roseanne Barr show. I thought, oh, this is just dumb and awful. But here now, this last, I don't know, whenever she was canceled off of her show for just speaking her mind and saying, you know, having free speech, that these people, that the left so desperately, you know, so adamantly wants free speech and free this and free that, and your rights for this and your rights for that. Apparently, you know, that doesn't apply to conservatives, but ever since that happened, I've paid attention to her, and I like what she says. So, yeah. So pointing out the fact that the Alphabet Soup community would be brutally murdered over there is now homophobic. So, yeah. So just prayers for Israel because they absolutely need it. They absolutely need it. There's a clip here but it's a little long, and I want to get to some of these other things here. Oh, let's play this. I don't know who this lady is, and I don't know who is interviewing her, but just take a listen to what she says about Israel, Gaza, and the whole situation.
Have you been to Gaza?
Yes, I have.
Is it occupied by the Israelis?
It's completely sealed off, as you know.
By who?
By the Israelis.
And who?
By the Israelis, by the US, and who else?
And who else?
The Israelis.
It's Mexico, remember? Biden told us it was Mexico that bordered Gaza. Sorry.
Isn't that enough?
No, tell me who else is allegedly sealing the Gaza.
I'm saying that Israel has completely encircled Gaza. Nothing goes in, nothing goes out,
Gaza
as
has.
you know.
Well, as you know, if you've been, Gaza also has a border with Egypt. Why do you not mention Egypt? Egypt has a stronger fence, the fence in the people of Gaza,
Okay,
than
so
Israel
you agree
does.
that Gaza is being fenced off?
No, it's fenced off, although you might note that there are more workers until the 7th allowed into Israel to work and indeed to have medical treatments and others.
Yeah, so whoever this, I don't know who this is, but it was absolutely a great point, because Egypt has built up their wall around, but not around, but the only border they have with Gaza there, they've beefed it up. It's almost like a wall works, you know? So their border in the U.S., anyone? But yes. So one of my sister-in-laws, in fact, the only one that I have right now, actually. No, that's not true. Just kidding. But one of my sister-in-laws, she used to live in Egypt she did like a study abroad kind of thing. And she lived in Egypt, and, you know, ever since October 7th, I've, you know, had great conversations with her. And that you could travel between Gaza, West Bank, and things into Israel. Like the guy said here, before October 7th, you could do that. You had Palestinians working in Israel. You have Palestinians in their own government, in Israel's government. I believe on their Supreme Court, and I've talked about this before. But there were Israel, the Israeli government pulled out of Gaza in 2005. You could still travel in between those two areas. You know, now, obviously not, because 12 to 1,300 people were brutally murdered by these people. But it's just astounding. Nobody talks about the fact that Egypt has built a wall around Gaza, you know, sealing it off. Nobody talks about that. Why isn't Egypt in trouble for not allowing Palestinians to come out? Why isn't anybody talking about that? Why is it always just Israel? Why is it always just them that are constantly attacked? That Israeli or just Jews in general are persecuted around the world now again. You know, I had when I worked EMS, there was a patient of mine. We were transporting her from one facility to another facility, and we found out that she was a Holocaust survivor. And I was quite in awe and shocked, quite honestly. I was honored, more, it was a better word for that. I was honored to sit there and be in her presence and kind of ask her and talk with her about things that had happened. And she asked a very poignant question, and I think I've talked about this before, but she said, how did the world allow what happened in World War II to happen? How did the world allow that? My wife and I are watching the show on, I think it's Apple. I don't know why we have some of the stupid services. But we're watching a show called We Were the Lucky Ones. And it's about this Jewish-Polish family in World War II and the fact that they got separated and everything that happened. And they show these brutal scenes of just regular people as the Nazis came in and as the Germans came in, taking over different parts of Poland. That just the regular people would take the Jews, line them up and drag them through the streets like they were cattle, beating them to death. And I sat there with this lady, and I didn't have a response for her. I just said, I don't know. I don't know how the world allowed that type of an act to happen. I don't know how that happened. And growing up, I always thought, the United States is great. We have some flaws, but we're still great. And there's no way we'd ever turn on Israel. With this administration and their don't crap, and the fact that they're so weak and they have to pander to everybody, they have to pander. I mean, there are chants of death to America in America by these people who support this Palestinian nonsense. So I still don't understand how that's possible. I still do not understand how it's possible. And Bill Maher actually will go. I want to play this clip here of Bill Maher real quick.
Talk about American propaganda, because there was a rally in Dearborn, Michigan, to large Muslim population. Chants of death to America. I feel like we've passed something here. The left has gotten mad at me for many years for talking about Islam. I try not to do it too much because I know it makes them go crazy, and I've made my point. But it needs to be talked about now. When you start chanting death to America in America, I got it. Charlottesville was real bad when they were chanting death to the Jews will not replace us. But on American soil, here's the Tarek Bazi is the organizer of this. This was at the end of Ramadan, International Day of Quds, Al-Quds, which was pronounced originally by, he said, this is why Imam Khomeini, that's the Ayatollah Khomeini. Remember him, the Ayatollah Khomeini? He's the good guy now. Khomeini, he would say to pour all your chants and all of your shouts upon the head of America. Yeah, I heard this before. Not coming from America, but the great chastisement. We will chastise the infidels. But now it's coming from inside America. Sorry, got to talk about this again. He said, we live in one of the rottenest countries that ever existed on earth. It's not just genocide, Joe, that has to go. It's the entire system that has to go. No, it doesn't. I like our system. This is America, crying out loud. Well, what about... And there are people who see me say this, oh, he's a conservative now. I'm a conservative. I have not changed. I always liked America and thought death to it was bad.
So yeah, Bill Maher, he's got Piers Morgan on, another lady, but even Bill Maher understands how radical left the left has gone. See, because they have to pander to these people. The Biden administration has to pander to these scumbags that are chanting "Death to America." I believe it was in Wisconsin. There was 100,000 uncommitted votes during I think it was Super Tuesday. Michigan had around half of that, 50,000. And, those two are swing states, and they can't lose an election. So what do? They pander to these people. There have been, again, over the weekend, there were these pro-Palestinian rioters, protesters marching on the Golden Gate Bridge, shutting it down for 3 hours. They shut down Chicago O'Hare Airport. They've shut down, I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. These people, this administration is pandering to those types of people who chant "Death to America" and burn American flags. But are there arrests? Are there raids? Is the FBI listening to them? Are they raiding their houses and arresting them? No, they're not. They're raiding people who just went to the Capitol on January 6th, just walked around the Capitol and left. Or just happened to fly into that area on and around January 6th. They've got U.S. Marshals watching those people. That's what the FBI is doing. They're going after those people. The FBI is showing up to your house. There's a couple instances I saw online where FBI agents are showing up to people's houses because they didn't like what was they had posted on their social media accounts. They wanted to talk about that. No, the FBI, if they show up, if you listen to this show and then you show up at my house, you can go to hell. Because, yeah, there's just not going to happen. I'm not going to sit there and talk to the FBI because I have a freedom of speech to talk about this stuff. But then they'll probably say, "Oh, well, they have freedom of speech to chant that too." No, that's different. That is different. That is a totally different scenario there. But, yeah. None of this stuff would have happened if Trump was president. I can tell you that. And in fact, just to show you just how unhinged these people are, this is a lady at one of the protests, and I'm not sure where this protest in particular is happening, but that doesn't matter because they're all nuts and they're all crazy. But does this sound like a rational person to you? Does that sound like a rational person to you? Sure as hell doesn't seem like a rational person to me. She is redheaded though, so I guess she doesn't have a soul. Isn't that the thing? Redheads don't have a soul. She's redheaded. I posted this on my socials already, so you can go look at that. And she's lovely. But that's what these people are. They're chanting "Death to America." They burn the American flags. They scream and yell. There's nothing rational about what they say. So before I end today's lovely protest, and then you have, hold on, let's get to this real quick here too. Google employees are now, they staged a protest inside the New York and California offices, and 28 of them got fired because of it. This is what they had to say. Google is now committing genocide. No, Google is attacking conservatives. That's what they're doing. So yeah, they occupied CEO's offices, and until those demands were met, because they wanted them to cancel this what they call the Nimbus contract. Not sure what it was, but it's something to do with Israel. They wanted that canceled. To Google canceled that contract there. These people are out of their minds. These people are insane. I don't understand the hatred for the Jews. I don't understand it. You know, I would never. I sit there and make fun of Joe Biden and the Democrats a lot, but I don't sit there and wish for their death and destruction. I just wish they would leave us the hell alone. Get out of the stop making our lives miserable. That's what I want. Just to go away, Joe Biden go away to Delaware forever, and your little beach house, you can sit on the beach all you want. I want those people to go away and leave us alone. I don't want them to cause death and destruction. But that's what these Palestinian protesters want. In the Palestinian and Hamas charter, they want the destruction of Israel. And the only hope really right now in November is Donald Trump. And of course, right now he is, in that trial in New York for Stormy Daniels. And one of the jurors who said that she couldn't be a juror during this trial because she couldn't be unbiased, this was her response.
Your opinion of the former president and why you felt that you could be unbiased?
I'm not a fan. During COVID-19, I lived with someone who was immunocompromised, and I think his handling of COVID-19 was abysmal. I have a sister who's adopted from China, and the comments he made about China when he was running for president made her very anxious, and therefore made me angry. There are policies he's supported that regard women and reproductive health that I do not agree with. And I think all of that makes.
So, okay, I'm with her. I'm with her there on the COVID thing. I think that was handled poorly. It shouldn't have been like it was. It's just a cold. Some people, just like any other cold, were more susceptible to it. But I love how they call it reproductive health. That slaughtering innocent children who deserve to live is called reproductive health. There's nothing healthy or anything about the brutal slaughter of innocent children. I mean, your life was better under him. We had more money in your bank accounts under Trump. He's not perfect. I don't say he's perfect. I like that he calls out people for their crap. But we had more money. We were more successful as a country. There were no new wars. Israel wasn't under attack. We didn't have well over 10 million people pour across our southern border, killing Americans, committing crimes, robbing, thieving, assaulting, raping us. We didn't have any of that. There was, probably a few that came across, but not 10 million. Not that much. So, yes, it's a lovely world we live in. Sorry I don't have a great closing fun story, but that's kind of the world we live in at the moment right now. There's baseball tomorrow. I think there's baseball today, but there's baseball tomorrow. Astros baseball, so hopefully they can beat the Nationals tomorrow. That's your good feeling story for the evening. Although, They're not doing very good right now either. But hopefully you have a great weekend, though. Really do. Thank you, everybody who listens. It really means a lot. So please like, subscribe, follow, and share. Please rate 5 stars, and then other people can see it, because then the algorithm will do its great thing. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, please, this it is there. Please share this around, and hopefully you have a great weekend. And I will talk with you next week. Have a good one. Bye.